So, moving on, I'd like to welcome to the stage Charlotte Vincent, Artistic Director of Vincent Dance Theatre, and the new female collective being Holly Noble and Jane Coulston. Here you are, Charlotte.
Oh, lovely.
Hello, everybody. I'm going to talk first, and I'll try and keep it to 10 minutes, but I might have to keep an eye on the lady with the signs. So I'm Charlotte Vincent, and I'm the Artistic Director of Vincent Dance Theatre, which is a middle-scale performance company formed in '94 and funded by the Arts Council to tour the UK and abroad since then, pretty much. I try to make work that moves people and makes them think. As well as leading and directing Vincent Dance Theatre, I also co-host and co-direct The Table with Dr. Claire MacDonald, who's a founding member of the experimental theatre cooperative Impact Theatre. VDT supports The Table through its NPO funding and also writes industry reports, research reports distributed in collaboration with Dance UK, looking at pregnancy and parenthood, career trajectories for women in the dance sector. So I want to tell you a little bit about The Table today. The Table is about nurturing dialogue and nourishing exchange. It's about sharing and collaboration and about registering and documenting the creative capital and collective intelligence that women over the age of 40 have accumulated through years of dedicated, collaborative artistic practice. It's a network of female artists that's growing organically with each event that Claire and I curate. When we come together, we share food and dialogue, thoughts on practice and current political thinking. Last week we held a dinner at Shoreditch Town Hall with Tamara Rojo, Sue Davis, Sue Parrish, Anna Furs, Jocelyn Pook, amongst others. In Brighton we were joined by Claudia Kappenberg, Liz Aggis, Marisa Zanotti, Zara Rubridge, Dana Lake, Jane and Holly from the FCC. And in Leeds we were joined by Rachel Crechet, Beth Kasani, Teresa Brayshaw, and many other women for the three dinners that we have held already. And the next event will be in New York, where when Vincent Dance Theatre take our latest show, Motherland, there it is, to New Jersey this autumn. So the table hosts conversations around a dinner table and on retreat, encourages a free exchange of resources between female practitioners working across disciplines, sharing homes and books and resources, DVDs, ideas, support networks, activities. And we're trying to find new ways to distribute our thinking. We have a website, thetable.org.uk, where we're collecting voices, we're capturing, hosting articles and links that reflect on the wider politics of our practice. We intend over the coming years to build up a valuable library of resources, articles, essays, captured conversations, interviews, that offer a wider level of reflection on female practice and collaboration. We feel part of a third wave of feminism, led by recent publications like Caitlin Moran's How to Be a Woman, Susie Orbach and her colleagues' 50 Shades of Feminism, Charlotte Raven and Rosie Boycott's imminent relaunch of Spare Rib, Jude Kelly and her fantastic WOW Festival at the South Bank. A revolution might be brewing, let's embrace it. In 2015, I hope to publish a book called 2020 Vision, which celebrates 20 years of my own company. But it won't be about my work. It will be 20 chapters of 20 women with at least 20 years of experience behind them, or 40. And that's a lot of embodied knowledge, and that's a lot of cultural capital. And that's a lot of fine thinking. And it's a lot of doing it our way. And I hope this book will be a celebration of how female artists have shaped and influenced performance practice in the UK over the past 40 years. I think now more than ever, we need to draw attention to and discuss the inequality that prevails in our society and also seems to somehow be reflected in this liberal dance sector of ours, just claiming it there. Women still don't seem to take up equal space. We need to look at the wider world to understand this, I think. So I'm going to bore you now with some thoughts. There is still a significant pay gap in the UK between the agendas, and on average over a lifetime, even in senior roles, women will earn nearly £500,000 less for doing the same job as men. Working mothers in full-time employment are generally paid 21% less than men. Let these facts land with you now. Women without children are generally paid 7% less in the same full-time jobs as men, and British childcare cost more than in any other European countries. And whilst more women are indeed being recruited onto boards in the UK, they are in positions that are non-executive and non-strategic roles. So I would like to argue today that the dance sector is not immune to the impact of what's going on in the social trends that we live in. And alongside this persistent lack of opportunity for women at the top of professions or having any real influence on boards, there is an alarming and persistent over-sexualization and vacuously plastic image of girls and women in the media that seem to be untouched by age or injury or pregnancy. And how does the dance sector engage with the wider social and political contexts that should be and could be promoting women and all they have to offer? The dance scene seems to be one that currently looks distinctly alpha male and distinctly white, and I will say it's often Wayne McGregor and Matthew Bourne and Hofesh Schechter and Michael Clark and Russell Malafant and Akram Khan and all the ballet boys that still dominate our stages and our press. Even though there are plenty of women out there making very personal, very challenging work, few of us are producing the large-scale box office hits delivered by our male peers. And as Judith McCrell asked recently in The Guardian, has dance simply caved into the wider sexist culture, or are there specific issues affecting our profession right now? It's a question that really needs answering. So I guess we can, as makers, make work about issues. VDT is a company led by a woman, and we make work that addresses gender politics head-on. And our latest work, Motherland, which has finished touring in the UK but will tour again next year and is going up to Edinburgh and going to the States later this year, questions how women do take up space, find a voice and make some noise. And I guess we can run our companies in a way that promotes equality of opportunity and equality of conditions as well as equality of pay. And we have clear policies on those things. And I guess we can provide better and cheaper childcare options. And we are, at Vincent Dance Theatre, committed to be a family-friendly employer, and we tour with kids. And we make sure we cost into the budget suitable travel arrangements, family accommodation for whole families to come on tour with us. Here and abroad. And we do practical things like provide car seats and contributions to nursery care and childminding. We provide understudies for female performers and rehearsal schedules that don't change so much so that childcare plans don't move around. I'd like to say here, while I have the opportunity, that I've not heard a single male choreographer in the UK actively or publicly promoting equality for women in our world, or better working conditions for their female colleagues, or indeed promoting women's work, or joining us to decry the seasons that present only male work. In recent press articles in The Guardian and The Observer, and I work closely with Judith McCrell and Luke Jennings on this subject, it is the same female voices, including mine, being heard raising consciousness around gender inequality in our sector. Here is an open invitation to the men in the room, and there's not that many of you. Why don't you want to stand with us? Gender equality must, you can answer later, gender equality must take equal place alongside the fight against racism and ageism and homophobia and discrimination against disability. It just has to. Let's wake up. It's a competitive, selfish culture, isn't it, our little dance world? I would rather be known for my work as an artist than for my feminist flag waving. But I feel the need to raise awareness constantly of the feminist cause because of what I see subtly continuing to eat away at opportunities for women in our field. And let's be clear right now, while I've got a microphone, what feminism stands for. For me, it's about seeking equality and justice for women and the end of sexism in all forms. Did you get that? It also means to defend the equal political, economic and social rights for girls and women. And it also means to demand the end of violence and abuse towards girls and women. And we only have to look at what's been happening, the revelations about the BBC, to get political about that. So with that in mind, why isn't female choreography taken more seriously on the larger scale? And why isn't our work louder and stronger and more visible and more valued? And why, forgive me, everybody in the room, do all the big boys get all the big gigs? Don't you trust us to deliver? Don't we trust ourselves to put ourselves forward for the big gigs? And what about processes? I make work, as many people have said today, in collaboration with other people. And guess what? I credit the performers for the work that they contribute. Many of my male counterparts still suggest they choreograph their work and have sole ownership over it. Really? Talk to the dancers. And what about childcare and motherhood? Many women drop off the map to have children just as they reach the age where they're ready to make high-profile, more large-scale work. The profession has become so global and so intense and so demanding. If you accept a major commission, you are planning years ahead. And indeed, if you run a company, you're planning years ahead. This doesn't fit in with the unpredictability of getting pregnant or indeed planning pregnancy and parenthood. Bodies just don't work like that. Where are the flexible models that suit motherhood in the UK? So trying to combine demanding work and family life deserves more detailed consideration in our sector and more support from everybody in the sector, not just women. I think that the effect of motherhood on female choreographers remains the most significant explanation of why we are mostly working in smaller, more flexible and more invisible ways. Who else is talking about this? And how can the dance ecology support these two creative acts in tandem, making babies and making work? And why aren't we talking about miscarriage due to overexertion? Or why aren't we talking about anorexia in women? And why aren't we talking about not getting pregnant because you keep delaying it to carve out a career to match the men? And why aren't we getting serious attention? And where are all the role models for younger women emerging? And I do feel responsible as an established female maker to put these questions out there. So to avoid losing our best mature performers and choreographers to motherhood, we must provide consistent, appropriate support to encourage women back to work. Or we will create a we'll create a UK dance ecology dominated by men and younger women, whose work, of course, is valid, but theirs are not the only voices that need to be heard. And who wants to discuss that very few women are in dance or physical theatre are on full-time PAYE contracts where maternity pay for dancers exist. So if you're a freelancer and you do get pregnant, you become financially reliant on a man for the first time in your life, which keeps you quiet and keeps you in relation to men. Why doesn't the state help more? And as dance leaders, as I've said, I feel we have responsibilities. We need to bring greater awareness to the issues affecting women and girls in our world and in the world. Inequality, maternal health, promoting girls' education and self-esteem, expanding economic opportunities for women, and in that I mean the big jobs. We must also do this within our sector. So as we're talking about dance, let's think more broadly and widely and politically about the implications of our experience in dance. Let's scrutinise our frustrations, women, and our thoughts and our questions. What part can we all play in moving towards equality for women? And I say to you right now that I think all art is political. As artists, we should be imagining a society in which men and women have equal access to opportunities at home, at work, and in public life. And so I wonder, in conclusion, do women measure success in a different way to men? And how does the maturation of our bodies impact on how we behave and how we're viewed on stage and in the world beyond? And what value do we give to the maturing, ageing, fleshy body of middle age in a culture preoccupied with such a limited view of what makes a body beautiful? And why aren't more women in executive positions leading more establishments? And what are the values and expectations and conditions around women that need to shift to let us in? And why, with so many brilliant role models in the dance world, are we still fearful or upset or surprised by intelligent, robust, funny women who are not afraid to speak their minds? And where are our feminist brothers in all this? And where are the politicised younger generation of fierce and fired up women of today? Well, perhaps here are two of them.
So it's a really good opportunity for us to introduce ourselves to you guys today. We are the Female Choreographers Collective. My name is Jane Coulston and this is Holly Noble. So it's a really great opportunity here today to let you guys know a little bit about us. Some of you may have heard a little about the work we're doing already, and for some of you it may be the first time you've ever heard of the Female Choreographers Collective, but either way, hello. The Female Choreographers Collective was set up in October last year, and if we were to put in a nutshell what we're about about pursuing equal representation in the arts. That's really the best way to sum up what we're trying to do. In terms of how we got set up, it was over a series of coffees. Holly and I and other female choreographers that we work with, Holly and I have run numerous projects together, would sit and talk about our successes and our struggles within the dance industry and chat about all sorts of things dance related. But a subject that kept coming up with other people that we talked to and between ourselves was this perception, rightly or wrongly, that our male counterparts seem to be gaining ground a little faster than some of the females we were working with. Or it was being perceived that way, or in some way they just had a bigger profile and we knew a little bit more about these other male choreographers and not so much about the women. So we weren't sure if this was something just a few people were talking about or whether there was more to it, and we thought, well, one thing we could do is just send an email out to our friends and our contemporaries, and just the idea of that email was in an art form that was pioneered by women. Where are all the women, where are all the female choreographers? What are they doing? And just see what we would get back to that. We had an overwhelming response. We were getting emails, but this email kind of went viral. I mean, it went out to people that we didn't expect it would get to. It started off quite a small circle of people and built from there. And we were getting all these responses back to both of our separate email accounts, depending on who it'd been connected to. And people wanted to talk about it. People had a lot to say about the topic, about fair and equal representation in dance. We had emails from obviously numerous choreographers and people within the dance industry, and we were also getting emails from people in social work, banking, numerous other industries. As Charlotte mentioned earlier, maybe there was a connection to how our industry is susceptible to those social inequalities that Charlotte was talking about earlier. So, okay, we had all these emails and all of this information coming back to us, and people really wanted to talk about it, and we were really interested in talking about it. And we thought, well, how could we facilitate discussion on this topic? Some sort of movement, organisation, what can the two of us do to facilitate this conversation?
And so, after receiving a ridiculous amount of emails to the point that we actually couldn't keep up with them all and trying to read everything, we realised that it's not a case that there's not female choreographers out there. There are actually a lot of female choreographers out there. The problem being is there is just no promotion of them and no support of them, and nobody knows about what they're doing. There was an email came in, and I sat and read the work that this woman had done and the funding she'd received and the awards that she'd received, and I knew nothing about her, and I didn't understand why this was happening. It seemed ridiculous that someone doing this well with this much work was still completely under the radar. I think the other thing that we realised as well is we both work in a contemporary background. I work in ballet as well, and this is not just a contemporary problem. It covers every genre of dance, whether it's ballet or commercial or hip hop or whatever you're working in, this issue is cropping up, you know. So we kind of had to decide what we were going to do and how we move forward with this. And we decided that the main aim of what we were doing with the FCC was to promote and support female choreographers. Find out about them, get them out there, get their work out there, create a support network. This is another thing that keeps cropping up in conversations with other people, is that they feel they don't know where to go or who they talk to or how you find out about things. And so one of the things we're really keen to do is create a support network where you can go and ask those questions, and you can get in touch with someone that you may never have got in touch with before and said, I don't know how to do this, you may have the answer, how do I go about it? I think one of the other things that we need to say is that the FCC is not about Jane and I in relation to us promoting our own work. We are choreographers and we do our thing, but this is not what the FCC is about. It's about you guys and what you do and what is going on. And so what we really want to do more than anything, and I think this is something that we've already started, is to create a conversation and create debate and get people talking, because this issue is something that keeps dropping in and out quite a lot, and it kind of starts and then it doesn't continue, and it needs to continue and it needs to go on and it needs to be discussed and it needs to change. Another thing as well that we also really need to say about this is that we need our male counterparts to be involved in this. I imagine there are quite a few men sitting in the audience thinking, hang on a second, I worked damn hard to get where I got to, you know, and it wasn't easy, and I wasn't just handed it on a silver platter. But you need to come and be involved in that conversation and share those stories and tell us about what it was like for you, and is this going on, or do you think we're all completely wrong? So I really, really, I don't think that is the case, but, you know, I really, really just... we need you to be involved. We can't do this on our own. And as Charlotte said, it's a case of everyone coming together to change this and make it different. Have we got 1 minute? Oh, okay. Very quickly.
Okay, yes. I have to be on time. It would really, really bug me a lot. Okay, so what we'll quickly say is what we've done so far. We had a launch event last October. We just had the experiment at the Laban Theatre, which was an evening of work, and we were looking at whether we maybe have any preconceived ideas of what male or female work may look like if you have no information about the choreographer or any of their background or marketing or anything. And there were... I don't want to go into too much detail because we need to keep moving, but there were preconceived ideas. We had certain work that was very aggressive, very physical, very strong, very powerful, and it was conceived to be a male work because of that. And we've only begun to look at our findings, and we've got so much information to sift through and audience profiling, and we're going to get to that later in the year, which Holly will quickly tell you about. So I won't go into too much detail about that event because I don't feel like we'll be doing it justice at this point because we haven't got so much of that information at this moment.
In the last 30 seconds that we have, in the coming year, the FCC will be doing a forum in September, which will be at Laban Theatre. We will talk about the experiment, but not for the whole day. We will be sending out emails to everyone that is on our mailing list, which is about 500 people at the moment, saying, what do you want to talk about? What are the things that we need to discuss in this forum? We only have a day to do it, so we need to find out the really, really important topical things that we need to look at. Secondly, we will be curating a platform which will hopefully run quite a lot, called We Are the Women, which will showcase 6 female choreographers, and we hope to do that a couple of times a year. Thirdly, we'll be doing, hopefully again, a community project where we will go into schools with female choreographers and work with young adults to talk about leadership and how we get young adult women to come forward in leadership and go right the way through. And the last thing, on the website, there is a community page. It has a forum. We ask you to go in, log in, create a template, share your work, start conversations, begin debates, talk to each other. We need everyone to be on board. And the website is thefcc.org.uk.
Do you want to do the talk?